Hello everyone, this is Sir Abdul Rahman. This is lesson number one of the topics solving quadratic inequalities. I'm going to take four examples for this topic, and this lesson will be helpful when you are attempting questions of the topic function in age level P1 and the topic modular function in E level P3. So there are four examples here of this topic. I'm going to explain one by one how to solve these inequalities. So this is the last example number one here. Solve x bracket x minus 2 less than 0. This is an inequality here. So step number one is this is quadratic inequality. So for quadratic inequality or quadratic function, we have to draw parabola. So step number one is decide which type of parabola you have to draw. So for positive x square, this type of parabola you have to draw, and you can memorize by happy face. So this inequality have positive x square. When you multiply x into x, it will be positive x square. This is the step number one. In step number two, find the values of x by equating left side of this inequality. So with 0. So in this case, x equal to 0 or x minus 2 equals to 0. So then x minus 2 equals to 0. After this, x equals to 2. So step number 2 is find values of x by equating left hand side with 0. Equating left hand side with 0. So we have two values, x equal to 0 and x equals to 2. Now the third step is sketch. So this is y-axis, this is x-axis. This value is 0 and mark 2, x equals to 2, x equals to 2. So this is 2 here. So in step number one, we have decided this type of parabola will be drawn with the help of these two values, 0 and 2. So going to draw parabola passing through 0 and 2. Then inequality have lesser than sign here. So if this is lesser than sign, you have to shade the region below the x-axis. And there are three regions below the x-axis, this region, the center region, this. So the center region you have to shade. Within the curve. The region you have to shade for less than sign, the region in between x-axis and the curve and below the x-axis. So now the answer will be this region is x, this region is in between 0 and 2 here. So the answer of this inequality will be x in between 0 and 2, the continued value. Now move on. This is for lesser than sign. If inequality is have less than sign. So now move on the second part. Example number 2, solve this type of inequality. So step number 1 is decide which type of parabola you have to draw. This is positive x square, and for positive x square, this type of parabola will be sketched, and you can memorize with happy face for positive x square. Now, step number 2. Step number 2 is find values of x by equating left hand side with 0. Left hand side with 0. So we can write 2x bracket x minus 5 equals to 0, and both factor is equals to 0 here, 2x equal to 0, or x minus 5 equals to 0. So x equal to 5 and x equals to 0 are the values of x. Step number 3, with the help of these values, sketch quadratic function here on inequality. This is y and this is x-axis, and we have the two values of 0 and 5. And in step number 1, we have decided that this type of parabola will be sketched. So going to sketch this type of parabola. And in this case, inequality have lesser than equal to sign. When there is a lesser than sign, the required region is in between x-axis and the curve, below the x-axis and the curve. So this region is the required region here. You have to shade this. And this is x in between 0 and 5. So answer will be x in between 0 and 5, but the origin inequality have lesser than or equal to sign. Look at lesser than or equal to sign. So write down equal to sign here. This is the final answer of the inequality. When you solve this inequality, 2x times x minus 2 less than equal to 0. Now move on. Example number 3. Example number 3 is solve x bracket x minus 2 greater than 0 here. So this is the example for greater than. Step number 1 is check whether coefficient of x square is positive or negative. When we multiply this, we have positive x square. So for positive x square, this type of parabola will be drawn, and you can memorize by happy face for positive x square here. Step number 2 is equate left side with 0. So to find the values of x by equating left side with 0, left hand side with 0. So x times x minus 2 equals to 0. Let's us assume this. And x, one factor x equal to 0, or other factor x minus 2 will be also 0 here. So x equals to 2 or x equals to 0. There are two values of x, 0 and 2 here. Now, step number 2 is, with the help of these two values, sketch parabola. So this is 0, this is 2 here, let's suppose. And we have decided this type of parabola will be drawn for this inequality. So sketch this type of parabola. And if the greater than sign of if there is a greater than sign, is a greater than sign, you have to shade the region above the x-axis and outer the curve, outside the curve and above the x-axis. Again, I'm going to repeat. When inequality has greater than sign, you have to shade the region above x-axis and outer the curve. So these, find out the values for the shaded region. In this case, we can say x is less than 0. So answer it will be x is less than 0, or we can say x is greater than 2 here. Don't write equality sign here, because in the original question, no inequality sign, only no equality sign here, only inequality here. So don't write equality sign here. Move on, example number 4. In example number 4 is a greater than or equal to sign case here. So step number 1, decide which type of parabola you have to draw, you have to sketch. So when we multiply x times x, we get positive x square. And for positive, if coefficient is positive here, if x square have positive coefficient, this type of parabola will be drawn, and you can memorize with happy face for positive x square coefficients. Step number 2 is find the values of x. By equating left side with, left hand side with 0. So 2x times x minus 5 equals to 0. 2x, one factor equals to 0, or other factor x minus 5 equals to 0 here. So x equals to 0 or 2, and x equals to 5, the second value, and first value will be 0 here. So we have two values. So in the step number 3, sketch the parabola, sketch this type of parabola with the help of these two values, 0 and 5. So I'm going to sketch this. It's y-axis, this is x-axis here, 0 and 5. Going to sketch parabola. And for greater than sign, greater than or for maybe equal to sign, shade the region above the x-axis. Above the x-axis and beyond the curve. And beyond the curve or outside the curve. So with the help of this note, shade the region above the x-axis and outside the curve. So going to shade this. And this is x is lesser than 0. And this shaded region is x is greater than 5. So answer will be x is less than 0 or x is greater than 5. But in the original question, inequality, there is a greater than or equal to. So don't forget to write equal to sign here. This is the final answer, or this is the final solution of this in quadratic inequality. So thank you very much. I hope you got the idea how to solve inequalities, these type of inequalities. So don't forget to subscribe this my channel, like this video and share this video with your friend. Thank you very much.